morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we're going to be taking a little bit of a look at a new Sylveon card. And come on, ladies and gentlemen, who doesn't like Sylveon? It has been revealed on the official YouTube channel over in Japan. It has been translated by the lovely Antoine Boulet. And although it is a Sylveon card, I think we first need to pause and give commiserations to the fact that we no longer have Energy Evolution Eevee. That's so sad. Seriously. For a long time, that card has single-handedly made all Evolutions better, and now we don't have it anymore, and I'm legitimately upset about that. Right, with that out of the way, what does it do? Well, the basics here has got 110 HP, which is fine for a stage 1, but we're playing basics at the moment of Volcanion and Zapdos, and they have the same or more, so no. Retreat cost of 2 is kind of annoying because it means no U-turn board, but it also means no buff padding. You'll have to find some other tool to play. The resistance to darkness, in theory, is quite nice, but at the moment we're seeing play stuff like Umbreon and Darkrai. Yeah, that's right, more evolutions. But they hit 150, minus the resistance is 130, you're still going down. And the weakness to metal is honestly fine. We do see Gardevoir and Sylveon seeing a bunch of play at the moment, and the fact of the matter is no one's hitting that for weakness because there just aren't any good metal decks around at the moment. I am a fan of the new Steelix, which is going to be coming around soon. I do think that's a good card, but as it stands at the moment, we just don't have great ways to deal with this. It's really kind of annoying. And being a fairy Pokemon means we get fairy charms. Now, I went into this in quite a bit of detail with my Alolan Ninetales video yesterday, so I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail here. But basically, they are a series of tools. See, it's funny because I just said we'd have to find a new tool that give you immunity from EXs and GXs. So, for instance, you've got Fairy Charm Lightning, which gives you immunity from Pikachu and Zekrom. There's a whole bunch out there. They're pretty awesome. So, fairy Pokemon we like right now, but what does this one do? Well, the first attack for a single fairy energy does 30 damage, and during your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon's attacks do 30 less damage. It's fine. The thing is, this is an attack I like way more if you have the Energy Evolution Eevee. You see, if we've got the Energy Evolution Eevee, then we can attach a Fairy Energy going second, turn 1, immediately evolve up into Sylveon, and before my opponents even had a chance to do anything, we're hitting 60 damage. That is great, and I like it. Outside of that, you're not a strong Pokemon. Now, the counter-argument here is one I like kind of a lot. So the argument is this. Well, I'm using Fairy Charm, so I use my Fairy Charm Lightning. Pikachu and Zekrom can't touch me. Which means, unless they're playing Lysander Labs, which they might be, but a lot of Pikachu and Zekrom decks aren't, they can't attack me with this. So what they want to do is they want to go and use, say, a Tapu Koko, the Prism Star one. Well, Tapu Koko does 110, which usually would go and get you a KO, but oh look, this attack is saving you. And as long as you don't remember that Electro Power is a thing, that logic totally holds up. Similarly, something like Volcanion in Reshiram and Charizard decks does 110, which would get a KO, except now it doesn't get a KO because you've reduced damage done by 30 and life is good. But there's no Fairy Charm for Reshiram and Charizard. But they're just examples, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure there are some other ones out there that will actually allow you to save yourself for a bit. The point is, there are plenty of Pokemon out there that hit somewhere between 110 and 130. And any Pokemon that hits 110 to 130 will KO you if you don't use this attack, but won't KO you if you do. That does give you a little bit of an advantage, and I can be on board with that. But the real highlight here of this particular Pokemon is a second attack. And according to the lovely Antoine, for 1 fairy, 2 colourless energy, it does 80 damage. But if you've played a tag team supporter from your hand this turn, it does 160 damage. Now 160 for a fairy double colourless. Now, ladies and gentlemen, now we are absolutely rolling. And 160 is important right now because Dedenne GX 160 HP, Jirachi GX 160 HP. Both GXs, both give up 2 prizes, both are seeing a lot of play at the moment, both will be one-hit KO'd by this. And you don't even need to worry too much about the energy because you've got Gardevoir and Sylveon, which both accelerates energy with the first attack and moves it around with the main attack. And if you've played a tag team supporter, this actually does more damage than Gardevoir and Sylveon's main attack. Plus, you've got the Fairy Charms. And if you can sit here and do 160 damage using a non-GX Pokemon while being immune to a bunch of stuff, that is going to add up extremely quickly. It's a good amount of damage and we can pay the attack cost. If you're hitting for weakness against something like Naganadel GX or the upcoming Reshiram and Zekrom tag team, yeah, easy one-hit KO. Against the vast majority of non-GXs, you're getting pretty straightforward KOs. Even stage 2s like Empoleon or Prism Stars like Solgaleo will go down here. There are very few, I mean, obviously all of the Wailords, but there are very few non-GXs you won't KO. So you're getting 2 widely played GXs, you're getting all non-GXs, you're getting anything that's weak, and look, any other tag team, or indeed any other GX that isn't weak, no, you're not getting a one-hit KO. But you're a single prize Pokemon, and you're KOing 2 and 3 prize Pokemon. You're allowed to wait 2 turns to do it, bearing in mind you've got Fairy Charms to give you immunity to the vast majority of them. Tell me that doesn't sound amazing. Sit there with a Fairy Charm on and okay, you're 2-hit KOing, but they're infinite hit KOing. Whoa, it doesn't take a genius to figure out you're winning that round, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the big downside here, you have to have played a tag team supporter this turn. And we've basically got 2. We've got Red and Blue, and we've got Cynthia and Caitlin. Now, Red and Blue doesn't really seem to fit with this deck very well. Red and Blue lets you search your deck for Stage 1 GX, or indeed any GX that evolves from a Pokemon you got on the field. Evolve it up, and if you discard 2 cards from your hand, you get to attach 2 energy to it from the deck, 2 basic energy. Now, to be fair, you can just play Red and Blue and go, look, I know I'm not actually getting any benefit from this, but I might as well at least play it. I can whack it down, who really cares? And yes, that will work. But honestly, ladies and gentlemen, it's kind of a waste of supporter. Caitlin and Cynthia, on the other hand, allows you to grab a supporter card from your discard pile into your hand. Not Caitlin and Cynthia are one you discard with this card. And then you can discard a card from your hand and draw 3 cards. Now that one's going to work in most decks, and it'll work in this deck. And frankly, ladies and gentlemen, that's how this works. That's how you get rolling with this deck. You use Cynthia and Caitlin, and bearing in mind there will be, we assume, there will be other tag team supporters coming around in the future, which means this card will only get better and better. But this works beautifully with Cynthia and Caitlin. It works with Red and Blue, but I'm not a huge fan. The thing is, what you really want to play this with is Gardevoir and Sylveon, and honestly, you're not going to be playing it with anything else. However, what you could do is play a bunch of the evolutions. So you could play a Jolteon and 2 lightning energy, and then you can just search your deck for the 2 lightning and you're rolling. Or you could play it with a Vaporeon and a couple of water energy. And you don't need to play more than 1 of the GX, and you don't need to play more than 2 of the energy, unless you're worried about prizes, which is a legitimate concern. And you can actually, because you're playing Eevee anyway, you can tag this in. I love that. If you're not playing around with fancy evolution text, just play Cynthia and Caitlin. Put this as kind of a 2-2 line in Gardevoir and Sylveon, and I think it is legitimately viable. But what you can do here is play this with all of the evolution GXs. I mean, to be fair, a bunch of them, including Sylveon GX, have rotated, but we've still got the Gen 1s of promos. They will work. And if you're using Red and Blue, you can search them easily, and you can get the energy on. I'm kind of a fan of this, ladies and gentlemen. I think this could absolutely work. I'm giving it between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies. That would be barbaric. I'm not ready to sit here and say that this is some kind of like over-the-top great phenomenal card, but I do think it fits very naturally into a Gardevoir and Sylveon deck. You're accelerating energy anyway. You're moving energy around anyway. You're playing the fairy energy. It works quite nicely. And I do think that you're using tag team supporters, so potentially using red and blue to tech in some other evolutions could give a very fun deck indeed. But I would very much like to know what you think about this, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WasiPlays, where we talk about a whole bunch of games that don't even have any Pokemon in. But by far the most important thing is always, look after yourselves till next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.